Gamers of Reddit, what are these strangest things you've heard over an open mic? Story 1. Several years ago, I was doing a 40-person raid in World of Warcraft. Many people in the guild were from California, and at the time I lived in Oakland. We hear one guy around Napa call out, "Whoa!" and then a few seconds later, I feel a pretty substantial earthquake and announce it over vent. A few seconds, a couple of people around San Jose chime in and they're surprised too. It was pretty cool to hear how the quake rippled south in real time. Story 2. Not really strange as in creepy, but I was playing a CSGO match when a kid on my team yelled, "Ha! Get f***ed," after getting a kill. Then our team hears him screaming, crying, and begging for forgiveness from his mother beating him for cussing that loud. Story 3. Was getting full-on cussed out by a kid easily about 5 or 6. He was literally saying, "F*** you, you f***ing c***. I hope Satan rips your ass and gets his splooge in your eyes, you stupid little ass fuck." So we started firing back at him with everything we had. We kinda made him cry. Then his mom gets on the mic and starts yelling at us. She's telling us how we're setting a bad example for her child and that we shouldn't be using that kind of language around someone his age. So we went off on her too, explained that her kid was being a sailor-mouthed little She started yelling at us, saying that her kid can do whatever he wants. So we said that if he's gonna talk shit like an adult, then he's gonna have shit talked back to him like he's an adult. She gets even more pissed. This is the best part, and I'm still laughing about this. The f***ing grandmother gets on the mic and starts spouting off to us. She's saying that her daughter is a fantastic mother and that we need to leave them alone or she's gonna call the police. We managed to piss a kid off so badly that we got yelled at by 3 generations of that family in the span of a few minutes. God, it was fantastic. For those of you that are curious, we were playing Advanced Warfare. Story 4. I thought this was a really good story given the question. I have legitimately heard someone on my team break up with his girl during a game of Dota on voice. He was using open mic and she was like, "Get off that stupid game and take me out to dinner," in this horribly entitled voice. After around 10 minutes of him being calm and saying things like, "It's okay baby, just let me finish the game, I'll get punished if I leave," and her just not understanding that she issued an ultimatum, "If you don't turn that game off right now and take me to dinner, I am leaving." And he just typed in chat, "Pause please, need to break up with my girlfriend." And everyone lulled and paused and the dude just went ballistic, like, "This is my apartment. You stay on my dime and I buy you all of your food. I give you money to go shopping. You don't get to issue ultimatums to me when you don't have shit without me. Get the f*** out of my apartment. This relationship is over." And then it was lots of crying and yelling and bringing up all the shit that he did wrong in the past as if it was gonna help, and eventually he just said, "Sorry, the relationship is over. I don't care. Bring a truck and one of those douchebag bar guys you love to f*** so much will get your stuff tomorrow. See if any of them are willing to clothe, feed, house, and f*** you." Everyone on voice chat just went, "Oh," and we were typing everything that was happening to the enemy team. He eventually got her out of the apartment, and boy did it sound like the guy had a world of pressure off his shoulders. After the game I friended him. We still talk on Steam sometimes. He really ended the relationship and ended up just putting all her shit in a storage locker when she didn't come to get it for a week. He has a new girl now who apparently isn't as awful. Story 5. Was playing League while talking to some guys over TeamSpeak. The dude says that he'll be right back but leaves his mic on. Out of nowhere, you hear him and his dad get into a massive fight. When the fight was nearly over, we heard the dad scream, "And why does your room smell like shit?" And the kid replies, "'Cause I shit in it." Dude hasn't been back on that TeamSpeak since. Story 6. I tend to stay pretty quiet when I'm playing online games, but there was a memorable moment that occurred about a year ago while I was playing TF2. The honest truth of the matter is that I'm absolutely terrible at most first-person shooters. If I'm lucky, I'll manage to score a single kill, maybe 2, before being offed by an opponent that I didn't notice. This fact was apparently unforgivable, and a young man who was offended by my skills, or lack thereof, wasted no time or breath in informing me of my failures. "Oh my god," he shouted, "you suck. Seriously, you suck. I can't believe how much you suck." At first, I ignored the tirade. As time went on, though, I realized that the fellow didn't appear able to say anything beyond, "Oh my god, I seriously can't believe how much you suck." His entire vocabulary could be seemingly derived from those 12 words. I took it as a challenge. After fumbling a bit to figure out which key activated my microphone, I responded back with a tirade of my own, while imitating Kermit the Frog's voice. "Hey man," I finally responded, "I heard you got kicked out of the military school for being too boring." Don't ask me what I meant by that. It was a nonsensical insult that was intended to provoke the fellow. "Fuck you," my controversial opponent shouted. It seemed like my verbal jab had done the trick, as there was suddenly a tone of real rage in his voice. "Fuck you, you fucking you suck, God!" I did my best to suppress a laugh and then switched to an intimidating Cookie Monster.
"Me no think that you be having a good grasp of English. Me think you only know words like f***ing suck. Me thinking you should learn new words like cookie."
"Fuck you, you are seriously the biggest f***ing loser."
"Whoa," I replied, still as Cookie Monster. "You use some new words. Now say cookie."
The young man's frustration was audibly increasing as he shouted "fuck you" back at me. And was that a twinge of fear that I detected?
"Cookie?"
I replied. Stop, you're f***ing creepy and you f***ing suck." There was definitely some sort of mounting discomfort in the guy's voice. Had I discovered, I wonder, the one individual on the planet with a phobia about Muppets?
"Cookie!"
Stop f***ing around! I went silent for a few seconds. Then, starting in a low, ominous growl and moving up into a tone of manic insanity, I went for the kill.
"Cookie?"
As much as I'd love to say that that young man burst into tears, disconnected, and left the world of online gaming forever, the truth of the matter is more mundane, though not by much. Midway through the long-winded bellow, the guy flipped out and starts screaming in near gibberish. The occasional f*** and so on were still audible, but it seemed like he had been reduced to offering wordless exclamations while his voice cracked. This went on for the rest of the match. The guy didn't stop until the very end when he managed to squeak out a final "F you, you suck" before disconnecting. My team lost the match, but I like to think that I won the war. Story 7. Back when Modern Warfare 2 was in its heyday, I joined a lobby that happened to have a bunch of Brits queued together. When teams were made, they were all on one team, and my team was all random Americans. One of us says, "Oh, hey, it's funny how that happened," to which one of the Brits replies, "Shut up, you fat American pig!" By God, it was on at that point. It was American Revolution Part 2, Freedom Rings Twice. To their credits, it was super close. But we wanted, not needed, to win so bad that we became a fine-tuned machine and began dominating. By the last 10 seconds of the match, we knew that we had won and began chanting "USA! USA! USA!" over and over. They tried to object, but our chants were just too much and they left the lobby. I haven't found an experience like that ever again, but God, it was amazing. Story 8. My girlfriend used to play World of Warcraft a lot and was playing with her guild, and during a break, she started playing with her dog and baby talking to it. She accidentally hadn't muted her mic, so her whole guild was listening, and they kept quiet and recorded it. The audio track was on the guild website for a while. Story 9. I was on a co-op mission in World War II flight sim. There were about 16 of us playing, and one guy was pretty wasted. We were cruising along on the way to the target area when suddenly we started hearing snoring. Loud snoring. Some guys started yelling, "Wake up!" but to no avail. And shortly after we heard a loud crashing and rattling over the comms, followed by an "oh fuck, son of a bitch, I'm fucking bleeding." Guy passed out and smashed his head onto the floor. Couldn't finish the mission because we were all laughing so hard. Story 10. Raided with a gal during Blackwing Lair who has 2 kids around the same age. It'd be around 11 p.m. and we'd hear these elementary school-aged kids say stuff like, "Mommy, we're hungry," and she'd respond with, "Not now, Mommy's raiding." We booted her after about a month though because she was an awful healer. Also, there was an off-tank during Black Temple that lived with his mother for cultural reasons. Every now and then, we'd hear his mom start shouting at him in some North African language, and he'd start shouting right back. The dude was a complete fuckwad and would not use push to talk. Real arrogant motherfucker, but a great tank that we had trouble replacing. And there was the terrible paladin who flat out refused to listen to any suggestions I made to him. So he ultimately got the boot once we were able to replace him. After he was kicked out, he messaged the GM accusing him of discrimination and threatening to sue. Apparently the shitty paladin was in a wheelchair, which absolutely no one was aware of, so what? Story 11. My raid group was pretty diverse. 2 guys from the Bronx, myself and another from the UK, and a few from Norway, Finland, and 1 from Ukraine. We were pretty new to the game and hadn't cleared the final boss of a very tough raid yet, but we were coming close. One of the Bronx guys died straight away, lag issues constantly, but we'll never kick him, but proceeded to do a live freestyle rap about what each person was doing in the raid in lieu of a commentary. It was amazing. Wish we had recording software back then. The second was the Ukraine guy. Just signs on to TeamSpeak one day and says, "War has broken out, I won't be on for the raid." Laughs, signs out, and then repeats the same message in-game to the guildies who weren't on TeamSpeak. Kinda worried for a few weeks, but he eventually managed to contact one of us via our forum to say that all was well and he'd moved back to a new/safer city with his family while things died down. Can't wait for him to get back. His DPS was straight up demonic. Story 12. My World of Warcraft raid leader's wife masturbating and having a screaming orgasm while we were raiding Black Temple. He took his headset off and queued it up just as she got off next to him. It was a weird guild. Oh, and in Wrath, in the same guild, we were working on 3 Drake Sartharian when one of our mages yelled, "AFK mom on fire!" mid-pull. Turned out she really did catch on fire while cooking. He had to take her to the emergency room. Hey guys, you enjoying the video? If so, please like and subscribe. It means a lot and really helps the channel. Anyway, back to the stories. Story 13. Was playing Call of Duty a few years ago and there were a bunch of kids mouthing off. I'm 35. I generally ignored it and I tried to be a good sport because they were just being kids. I get my ass totally handed to me as usual, and am sitting in the lobby after a particularly brutal loss when one of the kids goes, "Hey dude, do you like dragons?" Yeah, I guess. That's good because I was dragging my nuts across your face the entire game. I'll admit, I still laugh thinking about it now. Story 14. Reading Kara in World of Warcraft. Backstory, there was this player, Josh Warrior, who had joined our guild. He was, as one can easily deduce, a warrior. He was as terrible can be. Didn't know what rotation was, couldn't gear properly. He was only like 11, so he let it slide. But his general inability to learn or even try to learn made his life as a guildmate short. The story. It was near the end of BC and my druid tank wasn't very geared relative to the endgame, so I would use him to help out new, fresh guilds get through Kara. As I could sleep through any encounter and still maintain aggro and not really worry, I decided to help out this one guild, and who shows up? Josh Warrior. I lolled and continued on. My bear was indestructible. Vent was a fun conversation. Everyone was chill and thankful for my help. I don't really remember where we were in the raid when suddenly Josh Warrior flatly proclaims, "My dad just had a heart attack. I think he's dead." Progress comes to a stop. Holy sh**. Did he need to go help him? Did he want to leave? We'd get a replacement. No, the ambulance is here and my dog is really big. If I go out of my room, he'll definitely go out and attack the paramedics. The most awkward silence ever ensued, and we continued on through a few trash packs. Finally, their guild leader stops the raid and starts asking how Josh is doing. Fine, I think he's dead. We can keep going through, I just want some loot. We finished the rest of the raid in near complete silence except for me coordinating the encounters. I've never felt so awkward over Vent. Nobody else uttered a word. Every person from the guild whispered apologies and gave resounding thanks. That was by far the most memorable and f***ed up raid ever. Story 15. I guess I would call it strange because I've never experienced anything like it before or after this happened. I was playing an 8v8 in Halo 3. I had just started getting into the online world of it and was really enjoying myself. So I looked for a match and get sent to the lobby right before we went straight to the game. If I recall correctly, you would get to vote on what type of match and the map that you wanted to play in. So as we do that, one of the guys starts a beat. Then a second guy joins in on the exact beat. I recognized it as the "We Will Rock You" by Queen beat. Then one guy starts singing it and the next verse was something else. And the song went on and on. I even pitched in. After we finished, no one can even recognize what had happened and the normal chat continues. It was pretty cool, and it has never happened again since then. I tried to initiate it once or twice, but ended up making a fool of myself. No better way to intimidate the enemy team than with the full Skyrim theme tune in a barbershop quartet style. Story 16. This story isn't so much as something accidentally heard through a mic, but the other player's reaction to it. We had this mage character in our guild on World of Warcraft. Our guild wasn't anything terribly special, just doing Molten Core, Onyxia, and BWL before Burning Crusade came out. Back in the good old days when you had class-specific chat channels to coordinate class-specific jobs 10% of the time, and rag on all the other inferior classes 90% of the time, at the time of this story we were pretty new and just doing Onyxia regularly. Sometimes took 2 attempts and had about 30 people, and hadn't downed Ragnaros until a month later. Anyway, this guy had been in the guild since his 50s, and we're happy that he was finally able to start raiding. Pretty fun guy, really sarcastic, really good mage. Never gave his age, but from the way he wrote and carried on a conversation, he seemed like a college or graduate kid student in his mid-20s. Anyway, raids mean ventrilo, so he joined up in the channel. He claimed that he didn't have a mic and he always responded in the chat. To make a long story short, a few months after he started raiding, one evening 2 guys got kicked deep into the whelps and woke like 90% of them up. Rather than, "Many whelps, handle them!" our guild leader just called for us to wipe. Suddenly, this really high-pitched voice comes over the vent and says, "Forget that! Keep going! Nobody else touch the whelps. Everyone else on vent shut up. We'll handle this. Mages, grab the whelps and come to the center. Anyone with whelps, come to the center. Group 3 healers, you're with us." Nobody knew what the hell was going on, but we went with it. Lucky me, I had the talent for a 70% slowing blizzard, so I got to be the main kite. Humbling and terrifying experience of kiting over 100 whelps, with some random girls keeping me alive by coordinating half a dozen frost novas. She had us run in circles along the bottom of the lair for 8 minutes. And she freaking pulled it off. It took a minute for us to realize exactly who this chick was. Wait a sec, we don't have any girl mages, what the frick? But everyone was too focused to comment on it. When the raid was finally over, everyone is laughing, and the comments start coming out. "We thought you were a guy, didn't know you were a girl," etc. I am a guy. He says he's about 12 and more or less the size of a 9-year-old. Says fun raid and logs off pretty quickly after that. You can imagine the many freakouts that followed. The cognitive dissonance was fantastic. About a third of the people there refused to believe that this person was so young and decided that him being a 24-year-old girl lying about her age and gender was far more believable than their friend being that young. This person was very sarcastic and prank-toned, to be fair. Logic along the lines of, "A little kid can't fake being that old." They always referred to the guy as her after that. They just couldn't believe the one who had saved the raid single-handedly was still in middle school and whose voice hadn't dropped. The guild leader at least was pretty cool with it. Even asked him to help lead some Onyxia runs after that, and be mage lead a month later when our main one left. Kid flat out refused, said he couldn't take his own voice seriously, and wouldn't expect any of the raid leaders to, much less the players. Can't blame him. There were certainly people that mocked him after that, though happy to say it was a small minority. He was a pretty cool kid. Can't pretend I didn't screw with my own perceptions, but I figured I liked him and respected him before I knew his age, so nothing really changed between us. But it was hilarious to hear 30 teenage and college and middle-aged guys and a few girls obsess over learning that they had just gotten shown up and rescued by a middle schooler hiding amongst them. At the very least, that was the first moment I really appreciated the internet as the great equalizer. Story 17. Last week I was playing GTA Online in a heist with some kids. The youngest one was maybe 12 or 13 max. During a setup mission, his mom entered the room and told him to get off the Xbox. All he does is play games, etc. He told her that he couldn't because he was almost done with an online mission and he would quit after. We finish the mission and start to queue up for the finale. Someone asks if he needs to log off and he says, "No, I'll just tell her it's the same mission." Mid-finale mission, static starts to come over the mic and it sounds like a scuffle. Then you heard him pleading, "No, please don't turn it off, you can't do this, there are other players I can't quit, it will end their game too." In a no fucks given dead serious angry mom voice, I hear, "Your dad is in jail because of you. We're going to lose our house because of you." Silence. Log off. A few minutes later, he was back in party chat. Sorry guys, we're having family problems and my mom gets like that. She's a salty cunt. Story 18. So this was on Burnout 2, maybe, I'm not sure. It was on Xbox Live. My wife is playing and this little kid comes over and starts talking shit to her. She said something about, I'm going to tell your mom, and the kid replies, my mom died in 9/11. My wife, without missing a beat, well, glad something good happened that day, and the kid just starts bawling his brains out. Apparently, he wasn't lying about that. My wife spends the next 3 hours talking to the kid online like a mother. She played with him for half a year or so, helping him with homework and different things in his life. Then one day he just vanished from online. My wife is now a PC gamer, but she makes me pay for Xbox Live and she logs in once every month or so to see if the kid has been online. I want to say it's been 5 years and she hasn't spoken to him. Story 19. Back in World of Warcraft days, vented some Sunwell Plateau raids with somebody who had turned out to be like 5 years old and more interested in the colors on the screen than the task at hand. We were all ready to land hard on a poor performer. But when we realized it was still a kid and maybe a slow kid at that, everyone tried to be as nice as possible while still keeping the raid together. It was actually one of the nicer World of Warcraft experiences I had.